Welcome, viewer. In this story video, we shall be talking about how Prophet Samuel anointed Saul, the first king of Israel. Meanwhile, if you've not subscribed to our channel, please try and do so. Also, like the video and share it with your loved ones. Thank you very much. Let's go. In the land of Israel, a wise and faithful judge named Samuel had led the people for many years. He loved God and taught the people to follow him. But now, Samuel was getting old. He looked thoughtful as he watched children play and elders sit by the fire. Samuel's two sons were supposed to follow in his footsteps, but they didn't. They lived a crooked life instead. They accepted bribes, made unfair judgments, and didn't care about what was right. This made the people to lose confidence on them, and rather chose to be led by a different person altogether. The people noticed it, and they weren't happy. So, a group of elders approached Samuel at his home in Ramah. The first elder spoke, saying, "Samuel, you're old."
Samuel, you're now old, and your sons don't live like you do. The second elder added his voice seriously, saying,
"We want a king, just like all the other nations."
Hearing this, Samuel was shocked. He stood slowly and raised his hands, and then asked,
"A king? But God is your king. Why would you want someone else?"
Samuel was seriously troubled. He prayed to the Lord that night, pouring out his heart, saying,
"Lord, they are asking for a king. What should I do?"
And God replied to Samuel, saying, "Listen to them, Samuel. They are not rejecting you. They are rejecting me as their king. But warn them. Tell them what having a king will mean." The next day, Samuel stood before the people, his face serious but kind. He said,
"If you choose a king, he will take your sons and make them fight in his army. He will make them work his fields, build his weapons. He will take your daughters to be his servants. He will take your land, your crops, your flocks. You will cry out because of the king you chose."
The crowd murmured, but many nodded. Some looked worried. Others looked determined. Then they responded firmly in unison, saying,
"We still want a king. We want to be like the other nations."
Samuel listened, and once again, he took their words to the Lord. And the Lord said, "Give them a king." And just like that, everything began to change. Now, in a small town called Gibeah, lived a tall, handsome young man named Saul. He was strong, responsible, and came from the tribe of Benjamin. One day, his father Kish lost some donkey, and Saul went searching for them. He said to his servant,
"We've been looking for days. Let's go back. My father will start worrying about us instead." His servant replied, saying,
Wait, there's a man of God in this town nearby. People say everything he says comes true. Let's ask him where the donkeys are.
So they went into the town where Samuel lived. At the same time, Samuel was walking outside his home. He stopped and looked up as if expecting someone. Then God spoke to him, saying, "Samuel, tomorrow I will send you a man from Benjamin. He is the one you will anoint as king." Saul and his servant approached the town gate. Samuel saw them from a distance and whispered to himself, saying,
"This must be him."
So Samuel invited Saul to eat with him and gave him a place of honor. The next morning, Samuel walked with Saul alone and said to him,
"The donkeys you're looking for? They've already been found. But God has something much bigger for you."
Saul looked at him confused and then said,
"Me? But I'm from the smallest tribe in Israel. My family isn't important."
Samuel smiled and said to him,
"God sees more than we do."
And Samuel poured oil over Saul's head. The oil glistened in the sun, and Samuel said to him,
"The Lord has anointed you ruler over his people."
And just like that, Saul became Israel's first king. Though he didn't feel ready, God had chosen him. Samuel obeyed God, even though it hurt. The people got what they asked for, But they would soon learn that having a king came with both blessings and burdens. This story reminds us to be careful what we ask for. Not everything others have is right for you. God sees our hearts. Even when we feel small or unworthy, He may call us to something greater. And when we reject God's ways, we miss out on His best for us. God's plan was still unfolding. The people had a king, but would they still listen to their true king, God? God doesn't just look at what we want. He sees what we need. Will you trust His way or insist on your own? So, God chose Saul, a humble man from the tribe of Benjamin, to be the first king of Israel. Samuel, the prophet, had secretly anointed him with oil, as God commanded. But Saul, he didn't feel like a king. Samuel gave Saul signs to confirm God's choice. Everything happened just as Samuel said. Even the Spirit of God came upon Saul, and he prophesied among the prophets. People were amazed when they saw Saul prophesy, such that a bystander asked, saying,
"Isn't that Kish's son? What is he doing with the prophets?"
Another bystander shook her head, saying,
Who would have thought Saul would ever be a prophet?
But even with all these signs, Saul didn't rush into power. He stayed quiet, unsure, and went back home. Saul walked away from the crowd, returning to his father's house, trying to act normal. Soon, Samuel called the whole nation together at a place called Mizpah. It was time for God to publicly show Israel their new king. Crowds gathered. Samuel stood on a stone platform. Everyone looked curious and excited. Then said Samuel,
Today, the Lord will show you whom He has chosen to be king.
Tribe by tribe, clan by clan, the people were narrowed down until Saul's family was chosen. But when they looked for him, Saul was nowhere to be found. People were looking around, calling Saul's name, confused expressions everywhere. Someone from the crowd, puzzled, asked,
"Where is he? Did he leave?"
They asked God. And God revealed the truth, saying, He is hiding among the supplies. It happened that Saul crouched behind sacks and baskets. So, 2 men helped him up and led him out sheepishly. And there he was, tall, strong, and a head taller than everyone else. Then Samuel, smiling, said to the people,
Look, this is the man the Lord has chosen. There is no one like him among all the people.
And the crowd shouted, saying, Long live the king! Still, not everyone celebrated. Some doubted Saul. How can he save us? They said. But Saul stayed quiet. Not long after, trouble came. A cruel enemy named Nahash, the Ammonite king, surrounded a town called Jabesh-Gilead. People inside Jabesh-Gilead were terrified, and Nahash mocked them, saying,
I will make a deal with you. Surrender, and I will gouge out the right eye of every man. That way all Israel will be ashamed.
The people of Jabesh trembled greatly. A Jabesh elder, pleading, said,
Please give us 7 days. If no one comes to rescue us, we will surrender.
So, messengers were sent throughout Israel. When they reached Saul's town, he was just returning from the fields with his oxen, wiping sweat from his brow, looking curious as people ran toward him. A messenger, out of breath, said to him,
The people of Jabesh are in danger. The Ammonites, they want to destroy them.
When Saul heard this, the Spirit of God came powerfully upon him. He became bold and fearless. Saul's expression changed. Anger and purpose filled his face. Saul shouted,
Cut up the oxen.
He took the oxen, cut them into pieces, and sent them throughout Israel. Another messenger went about shouting as he rode,
Whoever does not follow Saul and Samuel into battle, this will happen to their oxen too.
So, fear fell on the people. Over 300,000 men gathered to fight. Saul split the army into 3 groups. At dawn, they attacked the Ammonite camp and crushed them. The victory was total. Israelites further stormed into camp. The Ammonites fled in fear. The people were thrilled. Saul had done it. He saved Israel. An Israelite said angrily,
"Who doubted Saul? Let's find those men and put them to death."
but Saul, raising his hand, objected.
No. No one will die today. The Lord has rescued Israel.
Samuel and Saul stood side by side. The people cheered. Then Samuel said with joy,
Let us go to Gilgal. There we will renew the kingdom.
At Gilgal, the people crowned Saul king once again, this time with full hearts. They celebrated with sacrifices and great joy. But Saul had been unsure, even hiding. But when the time came to act, God gave him strength, and the people saw what it meant to have a king who listened to God. Right now, Saul stood proudly before the people. Samuel smiled. The crowd rejoiced. This story reminds us that God can use even those who feel unworthy. True leadership is not about pride, but about courage, obedience, and trusting God. When we step up in faith, God gives us the strength to do what seems impossible. So, at Gilgal, the people rejoiced. Saul raised his hand in peace. When God calls you, don't hide. Step forward. He will give you what you need. Just like Saul, you might be the answer to someone's prayer for rescue. And that was the first episode of King Saul's story. Please watch out for the second part. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.